Good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News with me, Sean Russell, and these are the headlines that we're tracking. Ahead of the crucial nuclear suppliers group meeting next week, the UK backs India's bid to join the elite club. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to jointly inaugurate stadium in Jaffna with Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena, stadium to stage celebration of second International Day of Yoga. Three-day CPIM Central Committee meeting to start in Delhi today. Party likely to review its performance in the assembly polls and decision to continue tie-up with the Congress in West Bengal. And disappointment for India in the Champions Trophy hockey. Team settles for silver medal after losing 3-1 to Australia in the penalty shootout. Our top story this morning, the Indian Air Force today created history by formally commissioning its first 3 women fighter pilots. Bhavna Kant, Mohana Singh and Avani Chaturvedi became the first women fighter pilots of the IAF. All 3 will go to Bidar and Karnataka for a year-long Stage 3 training on Hawk Advanced Jet Trainers before they fly supersonic warplanes. Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar reviewed the passing out parade and conferred the President's Commission to the 129 graduating trainees of various branches. They include 22 women trainees. The Defence Minister also awarded trophies to flight cadets who excelled in their respective streams. Now, the UK has assured India of firm support for its NSG membership bid. British Prime Minister David Cameron reportedly said this to Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a telephonic conversation. According to media reports, a Downing Street spokesperson said both leaders agreed it will be important for India to continue to strengthen its non-proliferation credentials. The 2 leaders also took stock of UK-India ties in their conversation. Strongly pushing India's case, the US has written to other members to support India's bid at the plenary meeting of the group expected to be held on the 24th of June at Seoul in South Korea. While a majority of the 48-member elite grouping backed India's membership, China, New Zealand, Ireland, Turkey, South Africa and Austria are opposed to India's admission. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena will jointly inaugurate a stadium in Jaffna today. Named Durayappa Stadium, it is dedicated to the memory of a former mayor of Jaffna. India renovated the structure at a cost of over 7 crore rupees. While Sirisena will be present in the stadium, Modi will join the event through video conferencing from New Delhi. Modi and Sirisena will also witness the first major event at the renovated stadium, which is a celebration of the second International Day of Yoga. The stadium is expected to provide infrastructure to promote sports and recreational activities and assist overall development of the youth of the northern province in Sri Lanka. In fact, those on your screen right now on your screen, you can see live visuals coming in from Jaffna and also from the Prime Minister as that inauguration is just starting. Prime Minister will not be traveling to Sri Lanka, will be doing this via video conferencing. As you can see on your screens right now, the contact has been established with the Sri Lankan side as well, with the Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena there on your screens. And Prime Minister Modi, supported by External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj and a host of other Indian important dignitaries on the Indian side. The Durayappa Stadium has been renovated at a cost of 7 crore rupees provided by India, and the first major event over there is of the second International Day of Yoga.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have gathered here this morning to dedicate the Durayappa Stadium renovated by India to the people of Sri Lanka. We will also celebrate the International Day of Yoga 2016. Let me welcome the President of Sri Lanka, His Excellency Maithripala Sirisena, and the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi, who has joined us through video conferencing from New Delhi. வருகை தந்திருக்கும் பெரியோர்களே, தாய்மார்களே, அன்பர்களே, இந்திய அரசாங்கத்தினால் புனர்நிர்மாணம் செய்யப்பட்ட யாழ்ப்பாணம் துரையப்பா விளையாட்டு அரங்கினை இலங்கை மக்களுக்கு அர்ப்பணிப்பு செய்கின்ற வரலாற்று நிகழ்வில் இணைந்துள்ளோம். அத்தோடு 2016 ஆண்டுக்கான
Moving on now, terming the 2000 Bulletin Society massacre the darkest day in the history of civil society, a special court on Friday announced the sentences for all 24 convicts. Of the 24, 11 have been awarded the life term, while 12 were given a 7-year jail sentence. The sentence has received mixed reactions from all sides, with the victims' families saying they were dissatisfied with it.
Life imprisonment for 11, 7 years in jail for 12, and a 10-year term for one convict. That's the sentence handed out by a special court in Ahmedabad in the Gulberg Society massacre of 2002. 69 people had died in the incident, including former Congress Lok Sabha MP Ehsan Jafri. While reading out the sentence, Special Court Judge P.B. Desai called the incident the darkest day in the history of civil society. However, he rejected the demand for death sentence for all 24 convicts. Life imprisonment for 11 convicts will be till death. The court also requested the government to not remit the sentence.
ये कहा कि ये 2002 का जो इंसिडेंट था, तो दैट वाज द डार्केस्ट डे इन द सिविल सोसाइटी. एसआईटी ने जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन किया है और जो हमने जो भी एविडेंस रखा है उनको कोर्ट में माना, और मानने के बाद 24 लोगों को सजा दी गई. 24 लोगों के सामने ये कोर्ट ने माना कि वो अनलॉफुल असेंबली के मेंबर थे.
ना हमारे लिए कोई हारे ना हमारे लिए कोई जीत है. अदालत में सिर्फ न्यायतंत्र की जीत होती है. किसी को ये अपनी हार नहीं समझनी चाहिए, किसी को ये जीत नहीं समझनी चाहिए.
This is a very complicated process, a very fair process, where nothing ends at the trial court level. There are 2 levels above, and still probably greater justice will be done by those 2 forums.
However, not everyone is satisfied with the verdict. Ehsan Jafri's widow Zakia Jafri said the verdict had brought her to right where she started.
जो उन्होंने सजा दी बिल्कुल गलत दिया है कि आधे को छोड़ दिया है, आधे को सजा दिए, आधे को आजीवन की सजा दिए. मैं तो बाकायदा यही चाहती हूँ कि सबको सजा मिलना चाहिए. फिर से तैयारी करूँगी, फिर कोर्ट के सामने आऊँगी. मेरे लिए ये जद्दोजहद खत्म नहीं हुई है.
Very disappointed in the lesser sentence. We had argued for exemplary life imprisonment for all the accused, all the 24 accused. We had made a strong case that where sections like 436 and 149 are applied, and they are part of a willfully armed mob that was on the attack from 9 a.m. right up to 5 p.m. There is no reason for such leniency in sentence. In that sense, that is disappointing. We will appeal this.
इंसान ने 14 साल जेल काट ली. और क्या बोलूं सर, मैं ना परेशान हो गई कोर्ट कचहरी के धक्के से. और वो हाजिर नहीं थे तो भी उन पे आरोप आ गया है.
तो मेरा भाई निर्दोषी है. हम तो हाई कोर्ट सुप्रीम कोर्ट तक हम लोग लड़ेंगे.
घर में कौन कौन?
वो भाई कमाने वाला एक ही है, पापा भी नहीं है, 4 बहन और एक ही भाई है. वही घर चलाता है हमारा.
The verdict, meanwhile, also received mixed reactions from the political fraternity.
ये दुर्भाग्य है कि इतने ज़्यादा मात्रा में जहां जान गई है, वो साजिश करने वाले लोग आज उनको सजा तो नहीं मिली, लेकिन रिस्पेक्टेबल पोजीशन पर दिल्ली और गांधीनगर में बैठे हुए हैं.
सारी जो गवाहियां हैं और सारा सब तरह के जो काम हैं जो एजेंसीज के थे, उनने कहीं कोताही की है. और मैं मानता हूं कि जो और कल्प्रिट, क्योंकि इतनी बड़ी संख्या जो है वो 24 लोग नहीं मार सकते, इसमें और गहराई से जाने की जरूरत है.
The Gulberg Society massacre on February 28, 2002 shook the nation when a mob attacked the society in the heart of Ahmedabad and killed its residents. The Gulberg Society massacre was one of the 9 cases of 2002 Gujarat riots probed by the Supreme Court appointed Special Investigation Team. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The Central Committee of the CPIM is set to start its 3-day meet in Delhi from today. The highest decision-making body of the Left Front constituent will be meeting for the first time after the recent assembly polls. Members are expected to discuss the party's performance in the assembly polls in 4 states and 1 union territory. All eyes will also be on what the party thinks of its understanding with the Congress in West Bengal. In the recent assembly polls, the CPM saw victory in Kerala but faced their worst performance in West Bengal. The results led to differences between the central and state leadership on continuing their alliance in West Bengal. In May, the CPM Politburo came down strongly against the tie-up with the Congress in West Bengal. Now, to maintain the law and order situation in the politically sensitive Kairana, the Uttar Pradesh administration stopped 2 political rallies from taking place in the town. Section 144 was imposed there and political marches of both the BJP and the Samajwadi Party were suspended.
BJP MLA Sangeet Som, along with thousands of supporters, was stopped from entering Kairana on Friday. Som was leading a Nirbhay Yatra from his constituency Sardhana, 22 kilometers away from the town. Prohibitory orders were enforced across Shamli district and the borders of Kairana were sealed to manage the law and order situation. Calling off his week-long march, Som, an accused in the 2013 Muzaffarnagar riots case, gave an ultimatum of 15 days to the UP government to bring back the people who allegedly migrated.
सीनियर अधिकारियों ने रुक के हमें नोटिस दिया और कहा कि विधायक जी यहाँ से आगे धारा 144 लगी है, अगर आप यहाँ से आगे जाते हैं तो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है। हम भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ता हैं, हम किसी भी कीमत पर लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की प्रॉब्लम नहीं होने देना चाहते, इसलिए हमने उनकी रिक्वेस्ट को और जो नोटिस दिया उसे रिसीव करते हुए अपनी यात्रा स्थगित की है, लेकिन 15 दिन के अल्टीमेटम के साथ।
The BJP, however, sidelined itself from Som's march.
ये भी सूचना है कि पार्टी के प्रदेश अध्यक्ष जी ने भी उनको यही सलाह दी को ना जाए। मेरी भी सलाह उनको यही है, हम हैं वहाँ पर जाने की आवश्यकता नहीं है।
एक तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी की ओर से ऐसी कोई यात्रा की घोषणा नहीं है और संगीत जी को आग्रह किया गया कि अभी इसकी जरूरत नहीं है, पहले हम लोग आगे तय करेंगे और जैसा पार्टी का निर्देश होगा उसकी प्रतीक्षा करें।
A second rally led by Samajwadi Party's Atul Pradhan was also stopped some distance from Sardhana town. The state government accused the BJP of destroying the communal atmosphere in Uttar Pradesh ahead of the 2017 assembly polls.
रोटी रोटी के लिए गए, कहीं प्लान नहीं किया है। अब चुनाव आ रहा है, इसलिए माहौल बिगाड़ने की कोशिश की जा रही है, लेकिन उस माहौल को हम बिगड़ने नहीं देंगे।
जानबूझकर इस मामले को कलर दे रही है। अब आप यही देख लीजिए, एक तरफ हुकुम सिंह जी कह रहे हैं इसकी कोई आवश्यकता नहीं है, इससे माहौल बिगड़ेगा, दूसरी तरफ संगीत सोम निकाल रहे हैं। बीजेपी के प्रदेश अध्यक्ष चुप हैं, प्रधानमंत्री चुप हैं, गृह मंत्री चुप हैं।
A 5-party delegation that visited Kairana on Thursday said the area was hit by poor law and order, forcing many families to migrate over the years. It also hit out at the BJP for giving a communal angle to the entire issue. A 9-member BJP team had also visited Kairana earlier this week to review the situation in the town. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, India will soon export missile systems to countries with which it shares friendly relationships. Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar said the 10% of missile capacity will be exported if producers manage to get orders subject to parameters set by the government. The in-principle decision will allow exports to certain nations if producers have spare capacity after fulfilling India's requirements. The Defence Minister also said Southwest Asian countries have expressed interest and a committee will be set up to discuss the export terms.
East policy, many of the countries on the eastern side of the India have shown interest of varying degree. I will not only say missile. As well as west side have shown interest for strategic and reasons which I cannot disclose. I will not name them. But there are many people who have shown interest in buying from India. So our exports have also improved, more than doubled. And we want to take it to $2 billion. But at the same time, we are a very responsible country and all export will be to the legitimate, permitted under various international laws.
Now, 2 militants were killed yesterday in an encounter with security forces in Sopore town of North Kashmir. Security forces launched an anti-militancy operation after getting information about the presence of militants in the area. The militants opened fire as they advanced towards them. The operation ended a day after 4 militants were killed in an anti-infiltration operation in the Tangdar sector of Kupwara district. 1 soldier was killed in that operation. Meanwhile, local residents pelted stones at security forces as soon as the operation ended. State police resorted to massive tear gas and pepper gas shelling to disperse them. The West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee today ordered a police investigation into the Nara dusting operation in which several Trinamool Congress leaders and a senior IPS officer were caught on camera accepting money. Calling it a conspiracy, Banerjee said the sting operation was an attempt to incite people and create suspicion during the assembly elections. But she claimed her government wants the truth to come out in the case. Meanwhile, the opposition parties in West Bengal termed the probe a gimmick to mislead the masses and cover up the important evidence in the sting operation.
আমরা চাই এটা সত্যতা উদ্ঘাটিত হোক, কারণ আমি এখনো বিশ্বাস করি এর পেছনে কোনো চক্রান্ত, কোনো প্ররোচনা কিছু আছে, খুঁজে বের করা দরকার। এবং সেই জন্য আজকে আমি একটা অর্ডার দিয়েছি, চিফ সেক্রেটারির কাছে আমি নোট দিয়েছি, যেটা আমি একটা অর্ডার দিয়েছি যে টোটাল এপিসোড নিয়ে এর পেছনে কি চক্রান্ত, কি ব্যাপার, আসল সত্য কি, টোটাল সত্য উদ্ঘাটিত করবার জন্য আমি এটা পুলিশকে এনকোয়ারি করতে বলেছি। এনকোয়ারি, ইনভেস্টিগেশন, মানে ইনভেস্টিগেশন অ্যান্ড অ্যাকশন অ্যাকর্ডিং টু ল।
A day after the country's current account deficit touched its lowest level in 7 years in the last quarter of 2015-16, the government claims it to be a result of its policies. The March quarter current account deficit narrowed sharply to 0.1% of the GDP. The lower current account deficit is mainly due to contraction in trade deficit.
India's current account has come closer to recording a surplus. Data released by the Reserve Bank of India on Thursday showed that India's current account deficit in the January-March quarter narrowed to $300 million from $7.1 billion in the previous quarter. Current account deficit is the difference between the inflow and outflow of foreign exchange.
Without cutting down on capital expenditure plan or without cutting down on revenue expenditure, this has been achieved. So Indian expenditure on planned or non-planned expenditure has not been cut down at all, but we were able to achieve this. That clearly proves that the direction with which this government is going.
The contraction in current account deficit in the fourth quarter of 2015-16 was primarily on account of lower trade deficit, which stood at $24.8 billion compared to $31.6 billion in the corresponding quarter a year ago. For the full fiscal 2015-16, current account deficit stood at $22.1 billion as against $26.9 billion in 2014-15. Remittances also declined year-on-year and stood at $15.7 billion in the fourth quarter of 2015-16.
Major remittances come from the Middle East, and Middle East makes a lot of money out of the oil. And oil prices having gone down, the people of India, non-resident, which are operating and working in Middle East, their income has also shrunk.
The figures are a stark improvement from 2013, when the current account touched a record gap of 4.8% of GDP.
Decline in current account deficit was largely helped by lower oil prices. However, firming oil prices may nudge up current account deficit in future. Even a possible British vote to exit European Union will make the external environment extremely volatile. Reporting from Delhi with camera person Jitendra, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
Time for us to take a short break. Lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned.
Saina Nehwal, the first Indian to win a medal in badminton at the Olympics. The world number 2 ranked player is also the first Indian to win the World Junior Badminton Championships and the first Indian to win a Super Series tournament. Saina Nehwal in fact completed a hat-trick Super Series titles in 2010. That same year, she became the first Indian singles player to reach the final of the year-ending Super Series finals, defeating 2-time All-England champion and former world number 1 Tine Baun in the semis.
Welcome back. You're watching the Breakfast News. Now, the southwest monsoon entered Bihar, Odisha and West Bengal with rains drenching parts of the 3 states. According to the Met Department, heavy rains are predicted in Bihar, West Bengal, Odisha, Vidarbha, Chhattisgarh, Telangana, Karnataka and Kerala tomorrow. Bihar's northeastern parts receive rains, while the monsoon is expected to advance to the other areas in the next 3 to 4 days. Heavy rains also lashed Kerala and Lakshadweep, with several houses suffering damage and trees getting uprooted at many places. Kerala will be holding flood management mock drills in 15 districts tomorrow. Meanwhile, hot and humid weather continues to trouble residents in Delhi. The city reported a maximum temperature of 39.5 degrees, while the minimum was 25.8 degrees. Humidity was between 45 to 86%. The non-resident Indians can now open the National Pension Savings accounts online. The Finance Ministry says that they can use the ENPS platform to do so, provided they have an Aadhaar or PAN card. Till now, NRIs were allowed to open NPS accounts by personally approaching banks. The latest move extends the facility of online access for them. The accounts can be opened both on repatriable and non-repatriable basis. Subscribers will be backed by complete assurance, since the Provident Fund Regulatory Authority operates the saving schemes. India has over 29 million Indians living in over 200 countries. The government expects that NPS can provide a long-term solution to most of their old age income security. Now, Pakistan has refused to back down on its plan to build a gate on the border with Afghanistan, saying it was a matter of national security. The move comes after the second round of talks on the issue ended inconclusively on Friday. At the flag meeting, Pakistani authorities said the cross-border movement at Torkham in northwestern Pakistan would be resumed once the gate was built. Afghanistan is demanding that the border should be opened first. Torkham connects Nangarhar province of Afghanistan with Pakistan's federally administered tribal areas and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The US has also expressed concern over the heightened tension at Torkham, but clarified it will not mediate in the standoff. Now, Iraqi forces entered the city of Fallujah nearly 4 weeks after the start of a US-backed offensive that led to the exodus of tens of thousands of residents. Government troops have retaken key municipal buildings in the strategically important city. However, hardline militants still control a significant proportion of the city. Fallujah is also considered a launchpad for IS bombings in Baghdad, which is an hour's drive to the west. It's the only city held by the IS longer than any other city in Iraq or Syria. The IS overran Fallujah in January 2014, 6 months before it seized control of large parts of northern and western Iraq. A major operation to retake Fallujah was launched in May by the Iraqi government forces. Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi declared victory shortly after nightfall, even as government forces continue to push into parts of Fallujah held by the militants.
عادت الفلوجة إلى حضن الوطن. لقد سيطرت قواتنا البطلة على قضاء الفلوجة وأحكمت سيطرتها على داخل المدينة. ولا زالت هناك بعض البؤر والتي تحتاج إلى إن شاء الله تطهير خلال الساعات القادمة.
Now look at some of the other international news stories we are following in World Wrap. UN Secretary-General Ban KiMoon arrived in Greece for a first-hand look at the migration crisis that rocked Europe for the past year. He met the Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras and the Greek President on the first leg of his 2-day visit. His focus on the refugee crisis comes at a time when Greek authorities are intensifying efforts to process asylum applications and ask the international community to provide humanitarian help. British police have charged suspect Thomas Mair for the murder of lawmaker Joe Cox. Mair is due to appear at London's Westminster Magistrates Court later today. Meanwhile, tributes to Joe Cox came from several of her fellow Labour MPs who observed a minute's silence. Russian President Vladimir Putin today said that his country did not hold a grudge against the European Union and was ready to work on improving relations with the bloc, which he said was still a key trade partner. Speaking at Russia's top economic conference, Putin said top German and French investors expressed interest to invest more in Russia despite the weight of the sanctions, some of which the European Union extended just as Putin was speaking. Some sports now, and India muffed 3 tries in the title-deciding shootout to settle for a silver medal in the Hockey Champions Trophy. The team lost the final 1-3 against world champions Australia in London late last night. After 60 minutes of regulation time play, it remained goalless in the final. Australian keeper Tyler Lovell denied SK Uthappa, SV Sunil and Surinder Kumar in the penalty shootout to drive Australia to their 14th Champions Trophy title, the highest by any side. Harmanpreet Singh was the only scorer for India, while for Australia, Aaron Zalewski, Daniel Beale and Simon Orchard succeeded. Indian goalkeeper P.R. Srijesh could only deny Trent Mitten. However, it remained India's best performance in the history of the tournament. India's previous best was a bronze medal in 1982. Some football action now, and defending European champions Spain booked their place in the last 16 of the Euro 2016 yesterday with a convincing win against Turkey in Nice. Holder Spain became the first team to score more than 2 goals in a game at Euro 2016, beating Turkey 3-0 as Andres Iniesta shone again, and forward Alvaro Morata answered his critics with 2 goals. Turkey needed to beat the Czech Republic in their final match and hope other results go their way to have a chance for progressing to the group. In a controversial game of the day, Czech Republic's Thomas Necid scored a stoppage time penalty as they came from 2 goals down to draw 2-2 with Croatia in a dramatic Group D encounter on Friday that was interrupted due to flares thrown onto the pitch. The Croats topped the group on 4 points, with the Czechs in third with 1.
Rosicki.
Meanwhile, in an almost dull goalless match of the day, Italy moved into the knockout stages of Euro 2016 after Eder scored 2 minutes from full time to secure a 1-0 win over Sweden on Friday. The result left Sweden in an uncomfortable position with 1 point after 2 games ahead of the final group clash against Belgium next week.
Lindelöf, can he find a telling cross? Ibrahimovic with the header down. Dermas in there, appeals for a penalty. All arms raised. 88 minutes from that man, Eder.
That's all from us. Goodbye.